Welcome to Perspectives on Social Justice, where we're giving the world a voice. I am Lairalaine White, your host. Now, all it takes is a visit to the grocery store to see the evidence of inflation impacts on America's food chain. All it takes is a drive around the community to see that a number of individuals are indeed taking action and creating projects towards sovereignty. And new urban farmers are taking root every day. And for the rural farmers, there's been a rise in the cost of business in order to meet supply and demand. Well, food security has been identified as this country's leading social issue, second only to the inflation issue. The USDA reports that since 2019, 5.1 million households in this country are food insecure. And according to the World Health Organization, these factors affecting food security, such as food availability, food access, and food use and misuse, are the leading factors impacting food security in the nation. The times are calling for us to strive to create food systems on every level, from food manufacturers and processors to local communities and individual households. Systems that not only produce, distribute, and consume food, but also command policies of availability, command policies of access distribution, and dictate the culture of its use. Obtaining a high level of sustainability in food systems is not as difficult as you think. All it takes is a little patience and understanding of the processes of food security and sovereignty, and you can be the solution phase of eradicating food insecurity in your community. The USDA reports does recognize a rise in food insecure households across the country, and the times call for families and communities to create food systems with the goal of seeking sovereignty. But what does that mean? What does it take? And where do we start? We're going to talk about that in our series this month. And I want to thank every one of you for joining our dialogues on food insecurity and farming. For our viewers and podcast listeners, we will produce a quarterly spotlight on this topic on the topic of food insecurity, as well as a blog. For the month of June, we are providing farm spotlights and tips on how you can make a difference in the food chain during these times of higher food prices. Today, we are talking to farmers about inflation and COVID-19 consumer impacts on food security, as well as from a business standpoint. Our guest, Katherine Arnold. She is the president of Baby Katie's Farm, located in Snellville, Georgia. This nonprofit operation brings low-income neighborhoods together through gardening, with a mission to provide fresh fruits and vegetables to people who are not typically able to afford organic produce or even have access to them. She works with families to help them grow their own food, learn the business of selling and trading commodities, as well as creating and maintaining a budget for financial independence. You can find her on her website as well as her Instagram. What a beautiful Instagram it is. We also have Tony and Belinda Jones. The Joneses established the Morning Glory Homestead Farm as an expansion of what their family grew for their own provisions. The farm offers a variety of vegetables grown using sustainable agriculture and permaculture methods. In addition to their produce, they maintain a full complement of chickens and ducks and hogs, and other meat birds, and offer classes, farm tours, workshops, and they hold special events highlighting South Carolina's Gullah history. And so we're excited to have them here today, and we're glad to have both Katherine as well as the Joneses to join us here today. And we're glad that you guys thought it not robbery to come and be a part of this conversation. Now we're going to go ahead and get started. And first, let's talk about. We know that we're in the midst. We're on the tail end of the COVID-19 pandemic, but now we're battling this inflation and the impact of food. I mean, the food prices are skyrocketing. And last time we talked about how the pandemic contributed to food insecurity. But what are some of the things? I know we talked earlier about how it's impacting the cost of doing business. Can you just kind of give us some perspective on how the latest inflation is impacting the way in which you do business? Katherine, why don't you start out?
So I've been real big on staying local for the past 5 years. I rarely go outside of my community unless it's absolutely necessary. Um, Gas prices have been on the rise for the last 2 years, and now we're just seeing that big swing. And it's like, wait, I just put 5 gallons in my car, and it kind of took me out. It's like the same price as a full tank. So I think people are really starting to pay attention to how far they travel now. What I really want people to pay attention to is to how far their food travels. The food that you get from the grocery store literally comes from everywhere. It either comes off a plane, a train, a bus, or a truck. And all those people have to pay for gas. So when you're talking about sustainability at the forefront, the first thing you can do is figure out how to reduce your travel. Find somebody that is local to you and support them. Go to your local farmers market. People are there. The food is there. And sometimes it's even closer than the grocery store.
Absolutely. 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 So for the Joneses, you guys at the Morning Glory Homestead, how has all of this impacted you all?
Quite similar. Even though we are, there are several farms, of course, in our community. People look at the big box stores for lower prices and availability. And sometimes when those trucks don't come in and they see, shelves are a little slim, we may get, a few people looking towards us as an opportunity to shop local. And like Katherine was saying, a lot of times people are not thinking about how far away their food is coming. So if your food is coming from Florida, California, Arizona, and other like the Midwest, that takes a lot of effort and gas. And right now, that's going to cost a lot more. And our food prices are going to reflect that. And even locally, we've had to make some changes in our prices to reflect, the higher gas prices. And we are attempting to keep things as low as we possibly can, and give percentages of discounts when possible, because we realize we want to give people a break. We don't want everybody to you don't feel like, oh, we can't support local farmers because local farmers foods is higher than the grocery stores that they go to. And I think sometimes people don't realize that when you're a large farm, a really large farm, that you're producing so much at one time, over a period of time, that smaller farms can't keep up with all of that. We can't produce the same amount of, like, we're growing potatoes, but we're not in Idaho growing one crop of potatoes. Like some farms are monocrop. That's all they grow is one large crop of hundreds of fields of one particular thing. And so we're diversified. So we're growing smaller amounts of several things so that we can have enough, to, when people come to us, that we can be the one-stop shop, at least, for they can come to us and get like 4, 5, 6 different things, rather than, oh, well, if I go to the Joneses, I'm only going to get eggs. Or if I go to the Joneses, I'm only going to get potatoes. But if you come to us, you can also get a variety of things that we have available in the field. So we try to make sure that we can offer a nice supply of things. It's not going to be like really huge, but it's gonna make it easier for you to make it, one stop. And we do a little produce package similar to like a CSA, where you get that package, you're going to get a variety of everything we have available, and that may last you. You can pick how the size and for how many people you want it to serve. So we can make what we do more adaptable to the family needs, and personally serve people in the community. Whereas in the larger stores, you may not be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So why do you think we're having this food insecurity? Why we talk about food insecurity being in areas most prevalent in areas where they're low income, but as I go through up and down the East Coast, I'm finding that food access and availability is limited in a number of areas, and not necessarily in low income areas. Why do we have that? And what? And in the parts of town where we do have low impact, where we do have low income areas, why are we experiencing food insecurity? What is your take on that?
My take, I'll take a spin on that. The problem is baby boomers. We grew up. Most of us grew up and had parents that had farms and gardens and everything. And then when we got older, we said, hey, we ain't gonna be doing that. I don't want my kids to be involved with that slave kind of stuff. And dealing with the Gullah Geechee culture, I mean, that's part of our heritage. That's what folks did to sustain life. They had those little family plots. So when we got away from getting out of the field and keeping our kids out of the field and out of the gardens, then there go the problems with survivability and sustainability. We did it to ourselves. And now with the administration and with the economy, it's forcing us to fish or cut bait.
Yeah. That is one of the problems that we're experiencing. Some people don't have that skill anymore. They don't have the mindset either for it. Though you can see in many of the schools across I know in the Southeast, there are lots of farm to school programs, and we've been participating in some. And even though COVID cut down on the number of volunteers that can be involved in the schools, I think that they're gradually returning to that, so that gardens in schools are teaching kids, or allowing them to see where their food is coming from. So when you have extension programs that are offering schools an opportunity to see gardening up close, then that will help in when you have children who haven't seen it in their families, in their family life, then they can see it at school and maybe take it home and suggest, hey, well, why don't we try this at home? And so it gives them just an opportunity to see what gardening can do, what it's like and what it can do, and they're tasting food. So they're having an opportunity to not only plant it, see it grow and mature, but they're also tasting vegetables and fruits that they've probably not had before, or not had as fresh as they're eating it before. And I think the more we expose kids to gardening, the better we will all be, because they'll see more of what it means to have food accessible to them. Even if you're growing it in a 5-gallon bucket, it's better than not having anything at all. If I've got a tomato plant and a pepper plant, and that in itself is helping in some way. And we do need to get back to those types of skills. And I know that Sister Katie is teaching those things and promoting that in her community. And I think we all are trying to do that. We're all trying to encourage people to get back to the land and seeing where our food comes from and how it can help us. Because, it's a terrible thing when, like in the Buffalo situation, a violent act causes the only grocery store in the community to shut down.
No,
And what those people were, not organizations were struggling and working, trying to get food back in that community. How can a community that size only have one grocery store? That's a sad situation right there.
And we're gonna end on that. On that note, we will be ending our broadcast, and I thank you so much.
Tune in next week as we continue our dialogue on the concept of food sovereignty and what that means to communities across the country.
Move toward this